First of all, introducing our challenger.
Out of the blue corner.
He's going to step in and he does. It's all over.
Let's bring on the boom.
This is Eternal MMA.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Eternal Insiders. My name is Luke, and as always, I am your host. And I'm being joined right now by a Western Australian combat sports icon, Wes Capper, kind enough to share some of his time with us today ahead of his second MMA fight for Eternal MMA, and just his second MMA fight in a little over 14 years. Wes, first time on the show, man. Absolute pleasure to talk to you. How is things for you ahead of your second fight for Eternal MMA at Eternal 80, man?
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure to have a good chat. Yeah, I'm excited. Like you said, I've been out for quite a while, so it was good to get back in there earlier in the year. Looking to repeat the same thing this time round. Camp's been good, being consistent, mixing with good guys. Been getting a few lickings along the way as well, which has been obviously very humbling. Which I think it's vital as a man to get humbled every now and then, which happens to me quite regularly. I'm ready. I'm ready to have some fun.
And we're ready to have you back, man. And I mean, I suppose getting humbled is just all part of the MMA game, isn't it, right? I mean, training with some of the best guys that you train with that, with Scrappy MMA and all that sort of thing, and the guys that you're familiar with, and whoever else you get the licks in with, no doubt about it. You're at work right now, kind enough to join us at that side of the country. I'm on the East Coast, you're on the West Coast, so you're joining me at 8 a.m. for you, and it's 11 a.m. for me. So you probably got up before me, though. You're at work right now, yeah?
I am at work. I have been at work for a while. I've been able to just take myself away a little bit. Everyone's been a bit noisy out there, so I figured this might be a little bit more intimate if we could just be in the car and have a bit more of a relaxed chat in here. So, yeah.
The grind never stops, man.
Never.
Now, I just want to cast back. We're going to talk about your upcoming fight in a little bit, but of course, you had your return to MMA at Eternal 76, and you had that corner stoppage win. Was that a fun experience for you? And I'm not too sure what your sort of plans for MMA going forward, but with how everything sort of went, getting the win, coming back after so much time off from MMA specifically, was that kind of experience ultimately the catalyst for you to want to get back in there again and keep going?
Yeah, I was excited. I haven't been excited for, don't get me wrong, you still get nervous, and the whole lead up to any fight is obviously, it's got its own merit on how you're feeling. But I was genuinely I was nervous. I was thinking about it a few weeks before, when in all seriousness, for many, many years, with a lot of the boxing fights and even some of the kickboxing fights, I'm I still get nervous, wrapping your hands and getting walking out and all those other aspects involved. But I don't know, a few weeks leading up, I was genuinely a little bit going through all these scenarios of things that could go wrong, things that could go right. And it was refreshing to have those feelings again that I haven't had for quite some time. So yeah, man, I had a blast. I had a lot of time. I had a lot of fun doing it. I'm looking forward to doing it again.
We're looking forward to doing it again, man. And just for people that aren't necessarily familiar with Wes Capper, mind you, there are plenty of people more than familiar with Wes Capper and your story career in boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, and everything else that you've been a part of. Wes has had, as we just said, a number of fights across all disciplines, internationally trained, sparred, fought against some of the most well-renowned boxers in the world. You can look Wes up at any time and you'll see just what a story career he sort of has, and now coming back to MMA after not competing in MMA since 2009, getting in at Eternal 76 with a fight against Josh Bruin. Just on that fight, Wes, that you did have there, of course, that corner stoppage that you had at the end of the second round, ultimately getting your hand raised there. How sort of satisfied were you with that performance looking back? How would you grade that performance coming back into MMA as your reintroduction into the sport?
Look, it's a big adjustment because I know a lot of people think it's fighting is fighting. I know a lot of people don't view it like that, but I don't know. It was difficult just from the way that I was standing to my timing. The timing is completely different. And I understand that, yeah, I did a lot of it during training and sparring and all that, but it's just not the same as fight night. You know what I mean? My timing was a little bit off. It took me a little bit just to kind of get the groove back a little bit. And in all fairness, Bruin, I watched it back with if the coaches and even Marco, my grappling coach that I've been doing a lot of work with. And like Bruin just timed a lot of those takedowns perfectly. I actually really, in all fairness, I couldn't really do a lot on some of those just because he just timed them so well. And that's a credit to him because he's obviously been a lot more active, a lot more, on the ball with MMA. So look, man, I was stoked to be able to get up each time that I was able to kind of work on things that we'd done to get up and stand up. I was straight away just like, yes, come at me, let's go. So, and then I don't know, I noticed that, I don't know, probably just mentally and morally for him, the more I got up, the less he just got a little bit disheartened, just a bit like, and I could sense that, I could see that, so I just tried to capitalize on it.
No, and I mean, the fight progressed really in that way, didn't it? I mean, he got that takedown on you to sort of start with, but then as the fight sort of progressed on and you started getting back up and then, you were sort of more stuffing the takedowns, had a little trot off across the other side of the cage after you stuffed that takedown in the second round and started getting your own offense in, was very cool. But, I mean, you cast back to the start of the fight. Obviously, one of the bigger themes of the fight was that alarm going off in the stadium as your name's being read out, mind you. Like, were you cognizant of that happening at the time? Because from my side of the screen at the time, I thought this was like a little Wes Capper fanfare, like it's an air raid siren. This is a warning to Josh Bruin that Wes Capper's coming. But like, what were your sort of thoughts when that was happening at the time when that alarm was going off?
Yeah, no, I wasn't thinking that whatsoever. I was thinking, this isn't one. This is one I'll put in the books. I've had a lot of bullshit happen to me over the years, and this one I haven't had happen. So, I'll take that put that in the little in the cookie jar. But no, I wasn't thinking anything like that. I was just thinking, God, I hope they don't evacuate everybody, and then all of a sudden this fight's not off. I'm in the cage. The cage is locked. We're ready to go. I was just, I wasn't thinking that at all. I was thinking just try and stay warm, stay loose, and not really let it affect me, and just get on with business when I could.
No, and you got on with business, man. You got the job done. And on that, I mean, you said before that you're sort of enjoying the side of MMA a bit more than you were, I guess, enjoying what you were doing with the boxing, the Muay Thai, hence why you sort of came over. And that reflected in your post-fight speech. I mean, you were so fired up. Like, what's sort of been the best thing for you in terms of coming over? Is it just the training aspect? Is it getting ready for the fights? Like, have you found like a new love for training in the gym as opposed to when you were training for boxing fights and that sort of thing, as well as the fights? Like, what's been the most enjoyable aspect now that MMA has been your focus?
I would definitely say the training. Look, regardless of what discipline it is, when, if and when I eventually hang them up and I'm done, that'll be the biggest thing that I'll probably miss. It's not, don't get me wrong, fighting is a great aspect, and that's the whole reason why I do it and why a lot of people do it. But it's more so for me personally. I like the journey. I like the ups and downs. I like the sessions of coming in, copping a licking, going home a little bit depressed, a little bit questioning the thought process of why I'm doing this, and then having the good days, having the bad days, getting up early, doing the early road work. Yeah, I enjoy the journey. I know that sounds super corny, but like when it's all said and done, and I'm an old boy in the pub talking about how good I used to be, that'll be the things that I probably miss. Just being able to hang out with all the guys, get amongst the early sessions. Just, the entire journey and the process is definitely what'll be missed. So that's what I've enjoyed the most. New aspects of training, new things that I'm not very good at, which is obviously I like a challenge, and I'm enjoying the challenge of trying to get better at certain aspects of the game. I don't know, man, I'm still a student. I think when you stop learning is when you should probably stop doing it. I'm still learning, still having fun, still enjoying it. Still just going to keep swinging until I can.
And what about sort of the challenges? I mean, you said, in the post-fight speech, after you had that win, that, the distance control and that sort of thing was something you were kind of adjusting to. You sort of said in the past as well that even the adjustment with the 4-ounce gloves and everything coming down from the boxing sort of size gloves was something you had to adjust to there as well. Is that something you sort of find that you're getting a lot more used to now? Are you a lot more comfortable with the MMA gloves as opposed to what you sort of wear in kickboxing and boxing?
I wouldn't say, don't get me wrong, the size of the gloves obviously matters because when they hit you, they obviously hurt a lot more. But I would definitely say it just the timing, and also just reassessing the way in which I go to throw the combinations. I can't be too, gun happy or a little bit too eager to throw with a lot of the shots, because there's just so many elements involved here, and like, i.e. like them taking me down or them shooting on me, or there's so many different elements involved in MMA, which that's what makes it exciting. So just been trying to critique and suss out how and which I go to attack for the future. Instead of being very, very happy to sit in the pocket and throw, it's probably not beneficial because of, takedowns or, even kicks themselves, like just adjusting certain things. And hopefully we've got it sussed this time around and I can bring it to fruition.
I mean, one thing you did say was that, when you were talking about getting used to the distance and everything, once you were sort of back in the cage, that, give you a couple of months and you're going to be dangerous. How dangerous are you feeling now that you've had those couple of months and we're coming back for Eternal, Eddie, man? What's the danger level at?
We'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see. All talk is cheap. I'll let my actions speak on next Saturday.
Now, I'm playing a little bit of catch-up. You were back for that fight. You were, at least at that time, you were training with Scrappy MMA and Ben Vickers. Are you still there at the moment?
I'm still there. I'm still there. Like, Look, my life ain't what it used to be, I'm now got a business. I've got a very young family. Got other priorities that mean a lot to me. So as much as I do want to fight and I do want to do all these things and I am doing them, I still want to be a good dad and I still want to be there for my family. So, look, I can't make it down to Scrappy all the time, but I've got, a good set of guys around that, work around my schedule and I can, I fit in what I can when I can. So that's been a massive help from them guys. And hopefully with some success next Saturday, I'll be able to give them guys a big hug and a kiss and give them plenty of props to say thanks for helping me get to where I need to be.
And do you sort of find, like, just on that, I mean, because you've referenced instances in the past, right, like where, you're not training like full time, like down at Scrappy MMA, of course, you are a devoted family man with the kids and everything that you just said. I mean, we're talking you at work at 8 a.m, for goodness sake. I mean, it's always the grind for yourself. Do you find that, with those guys you've got around you, I mean, you've talked about guys like Jack Becker, Rod Costa, all those guys that you've sort of gotten the rounds in with, and also leaning on just your wealth of combat sports, experience in the past. Do you find those things sort of combined just really help you or have helped you get ready without having to necessarily train full time, but still be able to get in there and be competitive in an MMA fight?
Yeah, like I always would like to say to myself, I'd like to be a little bit more consistent with, how much of the training program I would be doing. But I'm always, swinging into Costa's Academy for a role, or I'm swinging through Scrappy's, not really in camp, like sporadically and getting sessions in. So it's not like I'm not starting from completely scratch when I'm jumping in. I'm somewhat staying fairly active to some degree. But there's a big difference between jumping down there in Scrappy's for some of those 10 a.m. sessions, and having Jack Della or something lay on top of you, which sucks balls, when I get down there, I definitely try to make the most of it. But like I said, life is what it is. I don't regret any of it. I'm just going to keep rolling with what I can, and I'll make adjustments where I can and if I can. So, yeah, look, I'm excited. I'm very happy that I've got a good set of crew around me, or even around each other, I suppose, because we all help each other in some description. So whether I'm not, if I'm not fighting, I'm always trying to give certain maybe stand-up tips or elements to help, Jack Becker's game or Rod's game, or, look, we've all known each other for quite some time, and as corny and as lame as it sounds, like it's really, really cool. And it makes me have a nice, warm, humbling feeling that we're all still, pretty heavily involved in each other's lives and want to see each other do well. I find that shit healthy, man. I find that really, really a nice feeling to have people around like that still wanting to see each other do well. It's nice.
No, it'd be a mutually beneficial experience for all you guys involved. I mean, from that friendship standpoint that you just touched on, but I mean, being able to lean on each other. I mean, not just you leaning on those guys, but I mean, you coming into the gym and, providing the experience that you've had across your combat sports career. And also just very cool to see, at the age you are now and coming back to MMA and finding that new lease on life, finding something back in MMA that puts a smile on your face and being able to share it with those guys in that gym. Very important, as you said, and we enjoy seeing it, and we're very much enjoying having you back here for a second fight for Eternal MMA. As touched on by Daryl Martin, my co-host on one of the Eternal Breakdown shows we had. I mean, I think he texted Cam straight after your fight and said, Wes Capper, we got to have Wes Capper back on a card. Get Wes Capper. That was all he could talk about. It was the Wes Capper show. I agree with those sentiments. So having you back for Eternal 80, man, is very exciting. So onwards and upwards to that fight. Cast ahead to your opponent. I'm going to butcher the name, but Buren Zorig Butmunk. What do you know about him? What can you tell us about what you've seen? Very different opponent in terms of the experience to a guy like Josh Bruin coming in from Mongolia. What do you know?
I've watched a little bit. I don't generally watch like heaps of footage because I've said on a few different interviews and podcasts as of late, I just don't see it super beneficial because each their own. But my concept is, you might come with this game plan of, this is how we have to operate and this is how we have to do it. And none of that happens in the fight. And then all of a sudden, your plan goes to shit and everyone gets all, like the ability to adapt doesn't come into play or doesn't give you the option because you're so fixated on this game plan that we worked on for 8 to 12 weeks. And this is what's going to happen. This is what needs to happen. So I'm just like, I'll watch a little bit, see some traits and maybe some things that he does, and then that's pretty much it. That's all I kind of do. Is that wrong? Shit, I don't know. We'll see. I've been doing that for a while now, so I got a rough idea on how he operates. We've been doing some things we're working on. I'm just gonna go out, just stick with my game plan, do whatever I need to do, and then trying to make the adjustments as we go.
And a couple more before I let you go, man. I mean, you said after your last fight that, you're having fun with this. As we said, this is a new lease on life for your career and something that you're very much enjoying. But your second fight back in 14 years, I mean, a big win here. Does this change anything for how you perceive your career in MMA going forward? Or is it something that you're just going to take a fighter at a time? Like, do you have any long-term goals for the sport, especially if you roll into Eternal MMA, get yourself a big win? What do you think that sort of sets you up for going forward in this new career that you've got?
Man, I want to have a shot at the belt. Like, I gotta, but I'm just stoked to have an opponent just on this one because this is my, I've gone through 3 opponents to get to. Well, I call him Batman because I'm going to butcher his name. So I've been calling him Batman.
Batman, we'll go with Batman. It is.
It's close enough.
Close enough.
When you pronounce it, looks close enough. I go, Batman. Shit, that's a killer name.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's been a little bit frustrating to go through a few different opponents and a few different weight adjustments. I've just, I don't want to campaign at welterweight. I'm not very big, like I'm tallish, but like, I don't know, man, like I just relate to say Della, like he's just a big dude, like it just sucks when he holds me or when he gets a hold of me. I'm like, man, there's more to life than this, like, and he's not even that big of a welterweight when you think about it. Like there's some welterweights out there that are huge and he's not huge. And I go, God, I don't want none of that. That's the last thing I want was someone that size, like laying on top of me right now. So I don't know. I want to the way I look at it, I want to get this one out of the way, hopefully have some success this weekend. And then let me get one fight at lightweight. I'll let my fat ass get down to lightweight. And then surely you can't deny me a title shot. Like a few of the opponents that I've had in the past saying, oh, and he's earned his stripes, he's done this and done that. And, oh, what did you do? I'm like, what do you mean earn my stripes, man? Like, I look at the main roster that's on there on the fight night on Saturday, and I've had more fights than all of them put together, like over the the entire disciplines. I'm like, kiss my ass, and earn my stripes. Sure enough, I've been out of the game for a little while, but that should just entice you more that I should be easy for the pickings. But anyway, I'm a bit of sour grapes with that. But look, get this one out of the way. Hopefully, have some success next Saturday. Next one, I'll get down to lightweight, whoever that may be, and then surely you can't deny me a title shot. Surely the capster gets a shot.
I 100% agree with those sentiments, man, especially with what you said there about, people saying that you need to earn your stripes. 100% correct. Like what you've done outside of what anyone does outside of just mixed martial arts matters. I mean, your career alone and everything you've done up until this point, 100% counts for a lot. And we see that in other, organizations around the world. I mean, when people piss and moan about, fighters like Alex Pereira or, Yuri Prohaska coming over and getting a title shot within 2 fights. But what they've done outside of that organization matters and counts towards that. You don't start just from the bottom just because you're coming into an organization for the first time. When you've got the record that those kind of guys and you have sort of got, so absolutely, let's get a title shot going. We get the win coming into this one. I don't think anyone, at least from a fan's perspective, is going to have any problem with that, man, especially coming into Perth, Western Australia for yourself. Big fan favorite over there.
Thank you for agreeing with me. I just nothing but love for that. I've been copping some slack along the way for that, but I'll give you a big cuddle and a kiss when I see you next for that. Thank you very much for that.
No, mate, absolutely my pleasure. I'll get over there and I'll give you a big hug back because we've loved seeing you there in Eternal MMA for the first time. Big pops over there. So, if we can get some of those big title fights going, let's get it, man. We've got to get through this one first, but we'll see what happens in the future. I mean, last one before you go, man, one of the things you did say after that last fight you had, you said it was a little bit disappointing that you sort of couldn't keep the fight going because of the corner stoppage, but I mean, it was kind of cool to, have your opponent quit on the stool. Can we safely say that for this fight, you'd rather see this fight stop with your own hands? We don't want the corner stoppage this time. We want to see this fight, come to a close from your fists and your striking abilities.
Hey, I might just flip it on his head. I'd love to try and get a submission because no one's expecting that. No one would be expecting for me to put on some kind of submission. So I'm going to put it out there. I'm just going to say, let's just maybe try and submit him this time.
Let's go for it, man. I mean, we're pumped either way. Of course, Wes Capper looking to come in to be the Joker to his Batman. It's going down at Eternal 80 on October 28th. So if you are not there in person, of course, you can get your tickets at Eternal MMA, and you better get them quick because we know the HBF Stadium sells out fast. We know Wes Capper's a fan favourite over there in Perth, Western Australia. Quillan Soulkill defending his belt at the top of that one too. And don't forget, after that one coming up November 4th, we of course have Eternal 81. So a lot of Eternal to sink our teeth into, but we don't look too far past this one. Wes Capper coming in hot, looking to get his second victory in just his second fight back in 14 years. Wes, thank you very much for your time, brother. Absolute pleasure to have you here, and all the best for Eternal 80.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. I'll talk to you soon. See you next Saturday.